Jesus defined, what it meant to be a good neighbor in pretty specific ways, about, loving people who were marginalized, who people we came in contact with, whose lives were falling apart, people who were poor, and people who um, were sick. And for most of Christian history, that was the case. That's the way we measured whether or not we were doing our job right as followers of Jesus. And what it meant to be a virtuous person was that we were engaged in our communities. We were engaged in ways that made our communities a better place because those were the priorities of Jesus. But then we made this really weird left turn in which we began to define virtue not in terms of how the value that we brought to our communities, but we defined virtue in terms of our private passions. In other words, how we were able to be quote unquote pure sexually. And so, and I grew up again in an evangelical world like you did, Bridge, to where I really, every time I heard about righteousness or unrighteousness or holiness or unholiness, I always thought about it in terms of sexuality. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just it's a bizarre sort of way of seeing the world. But that was the shift that happened a couple hundred years ago in terms of theologically, we quit thinking of virtue in terms of the way in which we saw our neighbors and saw it instead in terms of our own private passions.